This skin does not act like a normal callus. It is not a dry, flaky layer built up on the surface of the skin from repeated wear and tear where the skin is not sloughing off as fast as the body is creating it. It is a very waxy, heavy buildup of keratin that does not easily scrape off and that does not slough off naturally. You have to remove it either by soaking in salicylic, I can never say that word, acid, and scraping it off, or by shaving it down with a blade. I wanted to give an example of why even softening with water can be detrimental instead of helpful. We do have him bathe before we shave his hands, but you can see I'm trying to get this center of his palm here and try to shave it down, and the blade is just skipping right over it. It's sliding right over it because it's too saturated with water, and it's really hard for the blade to catch. That last clip was about 15 minutes after a bath, whereas you can see 45 minutes after a bath on his other hand, the skin in the middle, now that it's dried out, is coming up much more readily. I'm trying to get this center and I'm still not really able to do it. He needs to take a break because of me having to hold his hand, sort of bending it backwards and squeezing the fingers a little hard, so he needs a second to relieve the pressure. But I keep coming back in and trying to get this spot, and it's still just too wet. When the skin is wet, it becomes very rubbery. It won't scrape off, but it also won't cut off, and I don't want to do anything dangerous by squeezing his hand too hard and cutting too deep or putting too much pressure on his hand to where it's really uncomfortable. So at this point, on the other hand, even 45 minutes after a bath, I decide we're going to go in and do the fingers and come back and try again. Now the fingers are done. We're about an hour after the shower. I might have said bath, but it was a shower this time. And I'm finally able to get that little patch of skin. There's still a bit on the right-hand side there that I'm unable to get. And he's pretty much over-shaving at this point. So I decide we're just going to call it good enough. But if I had used a callus softener, it would have become so rubbery that I wouldn't have even been able to cut it at all. The knife would have just been jumping all over his hand, and that's really dangerous. Now that it's been hydrated with a non-oily lotion, I'm able to come back in with the blade and just do some evening out so that everything is really smooth and even. I'm finding any spots that are a little too thick still and making sure that we get a good shave. And I did consider going back in and trying to get that little spot in the middle again, but I just decided this is good enough. I don't want to hurt him. He's over it. He's only 6, and he's going to be fine with this level of shave until it's time to do it again.